Hello, hello, this is Patty Joe. I took a little bit of a break, cleaned the floors, do anything rather than listen to Darrell's dumbness. But let's muscle through another witness. I don't think I've watched this witness either. I don't know, maybe I didn't see all of the days while I was at home. I had just to give a little context, while this was just happening, which is why I didn't do this up front, I really needed to see how this was going to come out because I was thinking about doing these YouTube videos at the front end of this, and just the thought that he might actually convince a juror just shook my whole world. And so I waited. And then, of course, I had some computer issues. I couldn't really get running on it. Now that I'm doing a little bit better with that, you know, it's kind of glad I waited. Okay, but here we go. I'm guessing I missed parts of day 3 is what it comes down to. Let's give it a go. See who they're coming.
Madam Clerk, could we also work on getting the rear table switched as the input?
Alright.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what was her name again? Thank you.
So he's looking for the file. A little bit closer.
That's fine. Good afternoon, Ms. Waymeyer Aparicio. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is up a riser to my right. When you get there, please remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk Teresa will swear you in. She's right over here. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth,
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you, ma'am. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names and spell each for the record.
All right, my first name is Sarah, S-A-R-A-H. My last names are Waymeyer, W-E-H-M-E-I-E-R, and Aparicio, A-P-A-R-I-C-I-O.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Ma'am, can you tell us where you work?
I work for the school district of WAUKESHA.
What was your job title during the 2021-2022 academic year?
I was the director of bands at WAUKESHA South High School.
Oh.
What kind of things do you do as the band director at South?
Organize all sorts of events, whether it's concerts or marching band performing in the parades.
How long?
Okay, so as they said in the opening statements for the state, they weren't going to have every single victim. They were going to have the witnesses picked and chosen based on the broadest amount of information with the least amount of complication. So this lady, the band, which I don't know how big this band was, but a lot of the videos that were seen on the news and everything, there was one from above, which maybe an apartment or some sort of window from above, you can see, and it stops just as he's about to run over the entire formation of the band. And the way a band works is they basically take up the whole of the road. Each person's given a couple of feet in between so that, if there's 5 or 7 or 10 or however many people, they take up pretty much 80 to 90% of the street during a parade.
How long did you hold that position?
I held the position on and off over the years for 10 years.
As the band director at Waukesha South, how frequently did you interact with the kids who were members of the band?
Every day.
On a daily basis.
And did you know the
Wow.
name of all the kids that were in your marching band during that school year?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Did the band march in the 2021 Waukesha Christmas Parade?
Yes, we did.
Were you there with them?
Yes, I was.
Had you done that in the past?
Yes, I had.
About how many times?
Every year that I was there, we did that parade as well as Memorial Day.
Would you describe it as an event that the kids look forward to?
Absolutely.
When the band marches, are they in formation?
They are.
What about uniforms? Do they have any?
We do have uniforms, yes.
Okay. When you march in formation, is this something that you practice with the band?
We do. We practice with the students that are in the marching band portion of the parade. We had also done another parade in the Dells that year, so we had practiced with that. For the students that are not in marching band, we had practiced during class time for several weeks leading up to
I'm
it.
gonna check something. I apologize. Okay, I'm just gonna go back, turn it back on. I think I'm in good shape.
How does the formation of the marching band get set up?
So we practice during class, and then we kind of have the general structure of what it will look like, and then student leaders within the section place the students in their places the day of the parade.
So they have a little leeway, but you don't want bass drums marching next to clarinets?
Correct, exactly. So we say these 2 rows will be flutes, so senior leaders help decide which flutes are in those located, or those specified places.
I'm going to ask that we project Exhibit 21 onto the screen for the witness and the defendant.
Permission granted.
Just let me know when you see a picture in front of you.
Okay.
Ears.
Here, yeah.
Okay, what are we looking at with Exhibit 21? Can you tell us what this is?
So this is an aerial view of our marching band. You can see the names of the students that are identified. Those were all students that were physically impacted by the car that day.
November 21st of 2021,
Correct.
the Waukesha Christmas
Okay.
Parade.
Correct.
Have you reviewed this photograph and the information contained in it before your testimony today?
Yes, I have.
Does it accurately represent the formation of the kids in your band on that day?
It does, yes.
I move Exhibit 21 into evidence and ask to publish.
Any position?
The object.
With no backing
Exhibit 21
whatsoever.
received permission
Just
to publish
object.
as granted.
And he should object. He should object to everything.
And can we zoom
But
in
he's
on
got
that a
no
little bit?
basis.
There we go. Can you walk us through from left to right, just identifying? I know that we can all read, but just further.
Holy cow. Okay. So as my understanding, okay, the drums are going to be in the back and or the middle of the band. In this case, it looks like they're in the back. So this would have been the first impacted section, and he drives basically through, and then these guys must have run because they had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows of people that so this person carrying that big of an instrument in the back with the big drum, they're not going to be able to maneuver their body easily. I mean, it's not but it does restrict. That's a pretty, wow. That's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. 10 in just this picture.
Record. Can you read those names for us, and then also tell us what instrument each of those kids is playing?
All right, so first we have Aiden Lofgren on bass drum, Connor Tank on crash cymbals, Justin Golickson on sousaphone, Eric Teagues, trombone, Tyler Pudliner on tenor sax, still on the exterior, Harry Guilfoy on trumpet, then Eleanor Anders on mellophone, Theo Mazza on trumpet, Mara
Wow.
Gilchrist on alto sax, and Sasha Catalan on clarinet.
All the way up to the woodwinds.
What's a mellophone?
A mellophone is a marching version of a French horn,
What about a sousaphone?
a marching version of a tuba.
Have you ever seen the Ohio State Marching Band perform?
I have, yes.
I'll withdraw the question.
Could
So-
be the Badgers.
There are 10 members of your band identified in this photograph, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Could we please project for the witness only Exhibit 15?
That's going to be the route with all the names, I think. I'm starting to learn these things. I'm not happy about it.
Screen in front of you?
There's a map on the screen.
Yep.
Are you familiar with downtown Waukesha?
I am, yes.
Okay. Do you recognize what we're looking at in this map?
I do, yes.
Okay. Exhibit 15 was previously received and published. I'd ask to publish again.
Permission granted.
Could we zoom in, Ms. Gussie, on the intersection? There we go. Yep. All right. Do you see a yellow star between Barstow and Gaspar Streets on Main Street?
Yes.
And do you see the line connecting that yellow star to a box with some
That's this
green
one.
background
I'm sorry,
and
that
some
keeps
names
I do.
under the banner of
So
Waukesha
this is
South
where they
Band?
got hit, right here.
Take a moment, take as much time as you need, read through those names in that list. Let me know when you're done.
Okay.
Are the names on that list identical to the names that you previously told us about in Exhibit 21, that photograph of the aerial view?
Yes.
Overruled.
He's laying foundation.
Answer, I believe she did answer, and her answer may stand. Did the jury all hear that? All right, thank you.
Can you tell us what happened while your band was marching between Barstow and approaching Gaspar Street on Main Street on November 21st of 2021?
So I was towards the front of the band. That tends to be where I typically am because if you can imagine a typical parade, there's a lot of stopping and starting as the band is going through the streets. And so I am in connection with our drum majors. Those are the student leaders who have the whistles that give the students the command when they should be forward marching and when we should be marching in place.
But they would generally
So I'm
march
helping
backwards.
Look ahead to see what's coming down the road while the students are busy playing their instruments.
In many cases, the drum major is also directing, keeping the music together. And they would be marching backwards and or concentrating on something within the band, which means she is making sure that they're not like marching off a cliff.
The streets had just narrowed as we got into that point, and there was a lot of enthusiasm in the crowd, and I could feel the energy from the students. And all of a sudden I heard something going on, so I turned around, and at first I thought there was an emergency vehicle or something. I could tell there was some sort of a vehicle trying to get through. And then I started just seeing things flying in the air, and I realized this was not a vehicle waiting for people to move out of the way. I realized this vehicle was running over people. The students around me, we all kind of dispersed at the same time. I thought in the initial moments that it was an accident, but then as I turned
Sweet lady.
the car went immediately past me, and I could see that the driver was staring straight ahead and knew that, could have clearly seen that they were running over people.
What happened next?
My first impact
He
was
should
to
have
run after the car for a moment, and then I realized, because
He could have objected there. That might have been an objection. How can she see what he sees? But he has no basis of, that I guess they would strike that answer. I don't know.
watched them run over the people in front of me as well. And then I turned around and I saw my students all laying on the street and
Oh my
screaming.
God.
A police officer immediately, what felt like at the time, immediately came running, shots fired. And so my students who weren't injured were all dispersed, and I was trying to, at the same time, watch over my students in the street, but keep an eye on where the other students who were going so that I could make sure they were all safe as well. But I stayed in the streets so that we didn't know where the shots fired were coming from, so I wanted to make sure that those students in the street were safe as well.
She's
And
got a
just
lot
to
of
clarify,
people.
you mentioned that you heard from a police
She's
officer
responsible
that shots
for-
had been fired.
Correct.
You yourself, with the trained ear of a band director, didn't hear any gunshots?
I did not hear gunshots, no.
Okay. I'm going to ask that we project on the screen for the witness only, exhibit number 24, please.
Permission granted.
And can we make sure we're playing this at normal speed?
Oh, this is going to be
And
where
we'll
he
turn the
runs them
volume
down.
off while we identify, so we'll leave it off there. Just going to play a few seconds without any volume, and then I'll stop and I'll ask you a question, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we've stopped at about 5 seconds into the video. Do you recognize this video?
Yes, that is our band performing.
And I'm not sure how familiar you are with downtown, but do you know the businesses that your band is in front of right now?
We're by Davino Gelato and Martha Merrill's.
Okay.
And then the Alo Chocolate and everything is on the other side as well as an apartment building.
Okay. Have you reviewed this video before your testimony today?
Yes, I have.
Does it accurately depict what happened to your band the
Yes, it
afternoon of the
does.
parade?
Oh my God.
Move exhibit 24 into evidence and ask to publish.
Bless her heart. That's got to be hard to look at.
Mr. Brooks?
Objection. If the witness has seen this video before, how would that corroborate with the testimony?
What
Your
the hell are
objection
you
is noted.
talking
It's been
about?
ruled. Exhibit
What?
24 is received, permission to publish is granted.
Did that make any sense to anybody? Or am I just being really hard on Darrell?
We're
Darrell,
going to play this entirely through. It's 30 seconds long. We're going to play it once with the audio at normal
It's
speed.
short.
Go ahead.
oh my God. How can he look at that knowing he did that? Like, does that just give you chills? That gives me chills up my spine to hear all those people screaming, and he is watching himself do it. He watched himself do it. Now I know I said he should have objected to her answer about what he could clearly see that people were, because he could. I mean, we can all see that. But he knows what he did. The idea that he doesn't know is absurd. How can he sit there? Look at his face. Like, he doesn't care at all. And it just gives, just thank goodness they don't show some of these things on the YouTube whatever thing.
All right, let's pull it up
Oh my
again
God.
and set the speed to 50%.
Oh my God, no.
And turn the audio off. And we're going to play to a certain point, and then I'll say pause, and then I'll ask you some questions when we pause, okay?
Objection. What is the relevancy of playing it at slower speed?
Your objection's noted, it's overruled, permission granted.
Go ahead and play. Pause.
Watch him watch himself.
We've paused at 11 seconds. From viewing the video up to this 11-second point, can you tell us who in your band was struck by that SUV so far?
So far, that would have been Aiden, Connor, Justin, Eric, and Tyler. I believe at that point, perhaps also Harry.
These are just children, by the way.
Let's resume at the 11-second mark, please.
These are children. These are high school children.
paused at 16 seconds. Would it be fair to say that the remaining students we've been talking about today were struck after that point?
Correct.
And now we've reached a point where the SUV is completely past all of your band members?
Correct.
I'm going to ask that we project for the witness only exhibit number 23.
Go ahead.
They give
We're just gonna
him.
play a few seconds at normal speed here without any audio.
They give Zach Wichow a lot of the hardest testimony to question. I noticed that. They do. They give him a lot of the hard questions. Not that I think that the other ladies can't do it. I just think that he's got a way that is gentle but firm, and because Darrell, icky Darrell, is such a misogynist, woman-hating, narcissistic behaviors just abound out of this person. These hard questions, he's not interrupting as much. I wonder if that is an observation anybody else has made.
Audio. Pause. We're 5 seconds in. Do you recognize this video?
Yes, I do.
Did you see yourself in the video?
I did.
Does this video depict the same marching band in the same area of Main Street on November 21st?
It does.
I'd move exhibit 23 into evidence and ask to publish.
Any position, Mr. Brooks?
Objection.
Your objection's noted. It's overruled. Exhibit 23 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
We'll play this once through at normal speed with audio, please.
They sound like they're having fun. Oh
At
my
the tail end of that
God.
video, we saw a red SUV. Is that the SUV you've been talking about during your testimony?
That is, yes.
Mm, chills.
Can we go back to the
Gives me
beginning of that
chills up
video?
my
Let's turn the
spine.
audio off.
Because these are kids, and it sounds like they're having a good time, and they're starting to play their song.
And we'll just play a few
People are
seconds here from the beginning.
cheering, and then Darrell.
Pause. We are 2 seconds in. Do you see yourself on the screen?
I do.
So that's a touch screen in front of you. Would you mind drawing a circle around yourself?
Okay, that's all right.
So you are directly above the black shirt band banner.
Correct.
All right.
So these would be the drum
We
majors
did that.
here,
We did it right.
the one going backwards and the one, and there's a
I'd ask that
safety
we
factor there, I'm
Put
sure.
up for the witness only, exhibit number 22, please.
Go ahead.
Just gonna play a few seconds without any audio for the witness only. Pause. And we've stopped at 7 seconds. Do you recognize that video?
I do.
What does this video show?
This video also shows the car coming through as well, and different angle in terms of some of the students dispersing as well, some of them getting struck by the car.
Is this video also an accurate representation of what happened that day?
Yes, it is.
Move exhibit 22 into evidence and ask to publish.
Any, Mr. Brooks, any
Objection.
position?
Objection.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Exhibit 22 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
We're going to play this in its entirety. It's 32 seconds long with the audio.
Oh, now I hear it better. Look at him watch it. Look at him watch it. Oh, look at his dead eyeballs. If eyes are the window to the soul, this is a soulless being.
Did you see yourself in that video?
I did.
Let's go back to the beginning, please, and set it to play at 50% speed.
I think there's a reason why they're not showing it on the
Audio off this
screen.
time. And we'll play from the beginning.
Just listening to it is chilling.
Let's pause. We've paused at 9 seconds. Can you use the screen in front of you and circle yourself if you see yourself? Can we clear that, please? And we'll resume at the 9-second mark.
Look at her, she's gonna. She was responsible for these, and she feels responsible. Look at her face. And look at him. Blech. You're disgusting.
Pause.
What despicable.
We've paused at 21 seconds. You testified earlier that you initially ran towards the vehicle as it was driving away, is that right?
Correct.
Do we see you do that in this portion of the video?
Yes.
If you see yourself, can you circle yourself on the screen? So you're in the bottom right-hand corner. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. We can take that down. Did you see that red SUV stop at any point?
No.
As you were in real time remembering the events of that day, do you recall seeing any of your students getting hit?
I did not see any of my students get hit, only of the group in front of me. I just saw, like I said, things flying because they were in the formation that came through the middle.
In the immediate aftermath, after the vehicle had gone through and after you had run after it briefly, did you have any personal interaction with any of your students who had been hit?
I did. There were several on the ground, and they were surrounded by other bystanders who stepped in. So I just basically was circulating on the ground between the students who were injured, and then the students had run away to several shops in the area. And so I was just, it probably was an hour, it felt like. I don't really know how much time it was exactly, but rotating between the students who were injured as we were waiting for first responders, as well as checking on the students and trying to at least keep the kids who were not injured in a space where we knew where they were, so we could safely get them home once all of our injured students had been picked up by first responders.
Okay, so she's exhibiting a great deal of responsibility for these students. She's got a large number of children, basically. I'm calling them children, they're teenagers, probably a high school age, but they're minors, they're children. And she's responsible for ones that, a great deal of them, 10, 12, I mean, I don't know how many 10 were on that first list. I don't know if that's the full extent of the injured from her. But some of these students probably couldn't get up because of broken legs or, injured knees, whatever it is. They had big instruments with them. When they hit the ground, did their instrument harm them or hurt them? So she's got injured, and then she's got kids who ran. kids who just ran. And I guarantee you there was no you know how we talked about parade plans for the fire department, for the police department, and plans on how to do things if something happened. A band doesn't do this, okay? They don't say if some clown who's narcissistic with no soul comes driving through and hits a whole bunch of us, we should check in with our the leader of the section. You know, because every section has a leader. The flutes will have a leader, and the clarinets will have a leader. You know, anybody who, you know, and have a par level for each, you know, a personnel level for each section and where to go and what to do. They just ran. And so she's responsible for chaos on the ground with injured and chaos from the students who just ran. She's responsible for finding them, collecting them, making sure they get away home. And she's again, and look at his dumb face. Look at his dead eyes with his liar lines. Liar lines. Where he's just thinking of the lies to tell.
You know whether any of those
Why?
students that you had personal interaction with had to be transported to the hospital?
There were several students that had to be taken to the hospital.
Good.
Do you know in general the nature of some of those injuries?
There was many broken bones, a lot of, there was internal bleeding,
Wow.
dental work that needed to be done, lots of stitches, cuts, abrasions, sprains, torn ligaments.
Did you remain in your capacity as the WAUKESHA South marching band director for the remainder of that academic year?
I did.
You eventually went back to school after that Sunday, the 21st, is that right?
That is correct. So we went back to school once we were assured that we had as many students that were still left in the area, back to get them on the bus back to school.
You're talking about that night, Sunday
That
the
evening,
21st?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And in the days that followed, kids
Yes.
came back to school,
They did, yes.
and you had personal interaction with the members of your marching band?
Yes, I did.
Your objections noted, it's overruled.
Can we please put Exhibit
I didn't even
21
hear
back
that.
up on the screen? And this has previously been admitted, it's the diagram. I'd ask that we put it up for the jury as well.
Go ahead.
Based on your own observations that day, your interaction with the students in the immediate aftermath, and your review of the video evidence here today in court, how many of those 10 members of your marching band were either struck or run over by the red SUV?
They all were.
Can you tell us whether or not you got a good look at the driver that day?
I did from the profile.
Approximately how many feet would you estimate you were from the driver at its closest?
Probably 2 feet.
You were still in the street at that point?
Look at the liar lines.
The SUV.
Oh, God, you're such a liar.
We saw in the video what the lighting conditions were, but could you describe from your own memory what the lighting was like that day?
Really, really.
The lights were beginning, the sun was beginning to set. However, we were in an area where we were by lots of stores, so the sun was still out, as well as the light coming from all the storefronts.
Can we project on the screen for the witness only, exhibit number 120? Do you see an image on the screen in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Is that image an accurate representation of what the driver of the SUV looked like that day when you saw him?
Completely, yes.
I'd move exhibit 120 into evidence and ask to publish.
120 is received. Permission to publish is granted. May have been received earlier.
Yeah, it's already been received.
Oh. Okay, so this must be a drum major. So does anybody here question that that's Darrell Brooks, the defendant that I'm not going to call alleged because that makes no sense. He's not alleged. Defendant, he's a defendant. Just driving like nothing's going on.
testified a little bit earlier about the driver's demeanor as you observed him. Could you go into more detail about that?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. She may answer.
So originally my perception just had been that I assumed there was an accident because I could not imagine anything else. But when the car went past me, my perception changed of what was happening completely, because the driver was looking straight ahead, looked very attentive at that point. So the driver clearly was aware that he had hit and run over all of these people. It was not something that could have happened without the driver's awareness. We were also coming up on an intersection of a cross street, and although there was a crowd on the side, again, this is just my perception, but if the driver had been trying to escape the parade route so they were no longer hitting people, I felt like an instinct would have caused the head to turn to see if there was a way out on that side street. But the driver's head never turned looking for a way out of the parade route at that moment, and that's what caused my perception of what was going on that day to change.
When you say side street, you're referring to the street that runs in front of the Martha Merrill bookstore?
Correct.
Gasper Street?
Gasper Street.
And again, just to clarify, when we look at exhibit number 120 here, the person in white, is that a member of your band?
Yes, that is. That is one of the student conductors.
And then the person in the foreground on the right with the blurry face, is that another, I don't know if you know who it is, but can you tell us if that's a member of your band?
That is a member of our band, yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for this witness. Thank you.
All right, court's going to take a break before we do cross-exam. Take our afternoon break for about 15 minutes. All rise for the jury, please.
Woo! So. Do a cross-exam after the break.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness? Go ahead.
On the night of evening of November 21st, 2021, do you recall what officer conducted your interview?
I do not recall.
Can you recall if it was a detective or just a regular officer?
I do not recall.
Some people just don't know, like, the difference.
You mentioned earlier in testimony that that there was a side street where there could have been an exit out of the parade route
Correct.
provided. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say, yes.
Do you recall if that side street was barricaded in any way?
I do not recall.
But his question is void anyway, because even if it was, again, I'm going to run this into the ground as much as he runs subject matter jurisdiction. Those barricades can be easily moved by a person, could be one person, by a vehicle. You can slowly bump into it and move it. I have done that many times in ambulances. By any number of ways that could have been moved. You were moving people out of your way with, by running over them. What is the difference? You could have run over oh my God.
Recall that
Void.
there was another side street on the opposite side of the street.
The other side of the street has a plaza, so there's an open space, but it's not a traffic.
It didn't matter to Darrell. It didn't matter to Darrell. Darrell doesn't
Do you
care if
recall
it's
what
for
that
traffic.
street would be used for if not for traffic?
Foot
It's
traffic.
an open space where people who have been on the shops on Main Street can go down to the Riverwalk.
It's a
Do you know if
sidewalk.
Cars can park there.
They may not.
So it's basically like just a walkway.
Correct.
You don't mind? I'm
What you recall, can you estimate?
gonna turn on my heater. I know it makes a little bit of fan noise, but I literally cannot afford to heat my entire home. So I do keep my furnace at about 60 degrees, and it is getting kind of chilly.
The speed of the vehicle that you saw that day?
I'm not good at estimating speeds, but it felt fast as it went past me. It felt like it was accelerating.
Okay, you estimating speeds, how is that helpful to your case, Darrell, first of all? Secondly, again, I will tell you that parades generally move between 1 and 2 miles per hour. Most people walk 3 to 4 miles per hour when they're walking with a purpose. When you slow it down for a parade, we're talking 1, 2 is going quick, very quickly for a parade. You want to go slowly so that everybody can see you. And so anything above 1 or 2 miles an hour is inappropriate. Stupid. God, he's dumb. And that question is,
You stated
how's
you
that help
was
you?
relatively close to the vehicle when it passed you.
Yes, I was.
Were you injured in any way?
I was not. Fortunately, I'd moved just in time.
Or you would have hit her too.
Do you recall if anybody that may have been directly next to you was injured in any way?
They were not.
So would it be fair to say that everyone in your immediate area was not struck?
Depends on how you want to define immediate, but the first 4 rows of the band, no one was struck because at that point everyone had run away.
I was referring to, I guess I wasn't clear enough on immediate. I was
No, you
referring
weren't.
to directly next to you.
Directly next to me, no.
You're stupid, Darrell. That was a dumb question.
Were you able to get a license plate number of the vehicle?
I was
Again,
not.
a license place. License plate. How do you spell that?
Did you notice any tinted windows to the vehicle?
It's 11 months ago, but I believe there were in the back, but I don't want to say
Icky.
yes or no for sure on that.
Did you see anyone else in the vehicle?
I did not.
Could you see the back seats of the vehicle?
I did not look at the back seats.
Could you see the passenger seat of the vehicle?
I could.
Do you recall anyone being in the passenger
I
seat?
did not see anyone in the passenger seat.
She's a good witness. She doesn't have to look at him, but she's a good witness. She's staring him down.
Did you initially hear any sounds before you realized that something was wrong?
The band had just started playing, and so I was concentrating and listening to the sounds of the band, and then all of a sudden it was just the sound of chaos as the car came through the band.
So it would be fair to say that it was pretty loud.
Where I was at that moment, yes, because I was directly in the middle of the band.
Would you say extremely loud or moderately loud?
I would say moderately loud, and as the band director, my job was listening to the sound of the band, and so I could give the students feedback when we got back to school. So that's where my focus was.
From your estimation, do you think it would have, the sounds from the band and the people and just the parade itself, would that at any time impaired you from hearing everything that was going on?
I don't know what you're
Everything, likely, but for example, like it would have still been, it wasn't so loud I would have heard a car horn. That I would have been able to hear.
I wasn't referring to that.
Okay, I was just asking because you were asking volumes, and so I couldn't have heard everything. I couldn't have heard something soft, but something that loud as an example.
Thank you, Darrell. She just blew up your whole line of questioning. You
Just
can
to be
tell.
clear,
Just to be clear. And change the semantics.
in your opinion, you think you would have been able to hear a horn,
I believe I would have.
even at the same time listening for the band notes, as you say, you have to give them feedback when you got back to school?
Because that would have been an unexpected sound, so that would have been something that would have stood out in my
It would have
memory.
been something that draws your attention.
Exactly.
So in your opinion, do you estimate it would have been hard to hear any screaming or anything of that nature?
Screaming.
We started, as soon as the screaming started, we did hear that immediately.
So no, Darrell. Everybody heard what you did.
Because as
That's
soon
a
as the
dumb
screaming
question.
started, the students stopped playing, and so that loudness.
1 second.
I'm sorry.
I try to think. I know this is really a rough one to go, but I try to think if I were defending Darrell Brooks. Now, I'm not an attorney, so I wouldn't know where to go with this. In fact, I know somebody who took the LSAT, and I saw some of those practice questions, and the way attorneys think is completely different from the way other people in other professions think. That's why if I got in trouble as a paramedic, I wouldn't want to defend myself. I would want somebody who thinks like that to defend me. Because I think I'm doing the right, I think I'm making the right choice. She's laughing at him. I love that. But I try to think to myself, okay, this is the band director. She had at least 10 students who were injured to the point of broken bones, internal bleeding. These are major injuries to a person who's struck by a vehicle. She saw items flying. She, at one point, alluded to the other groups being hit, and she saw those people. So she has seen it. She saw him 2 feet away, driving the vehicle, looking straight ahead, like the soulless turd monkey that he is. Because subhuman doesn't even be, it insults the animal world. Subhuman does insult the animal world. For he doesn't have a soul. There's no empathy in him. But what questions would I ask of her? What questions would I ask of her? And none of these come to mind. Kind of license place. What the hell is a license place? Stupid. I love how she's laughing at him. Yes, we all heard everybody scream as you
Do you
ran them
recall
over.
how long you had been actively participating in the parade at the time of the incident?
That had been my first year back as the director of band for a while, but I marched in that parade in high school myself. And I've attended on the years that I was not teaching.
That's
so
not what
it's
he's talking
probably
about. And his
my
question
4
is
years
dumb.
Time plus at that parade.
I think you probably misunderstood.
Okay.
Well, that was still.
Okay.
I don't have to ask that question. I was referring to how long you had been marching at
At
that
that time.
at that point in.
Probably, blocks all change size pretty quickly in WAUKESHA, but we had been going for about 4 blocks. We were about at the halfway point of the parade route.
Darrell, this is the only thing I can say that kind of even puts him at the level of a human. Everybody wants the same basic need in social situations, and that's to be included. It hurts when you're not included or when you are physically excluded. So he wants to be, but narcissistically, he feels as if he is on the level of the attorneys, of the judge. He thinks he's, making friends here. And it's pathetic in a way.
Did you notice anything amiss up until that point?
Up until that point, no.
Did you hear any law enforcement radios that may have alerted you to
No.
something being
How
wrong?
would she hear that? How would she hear that? She's not a law enforcement
So it'd be fair
officer.
to say, as far as you know, everything was pretty much standard.
Up until the moment, yes.
He's reading because he's not prepared.
You stated in your report that you were walking backwards facing the students.
No, I was walking forward because the students near me were walking backwards. So I was the eyes in front for the students who were marching backwards.
So is it possible the report could have misquoted what you said?
I have not seen the report.
The report that I have would be page 2.
I don't have that in front of me.
Would you like to see it?
Sure. So I see it's not in, there we go. So I was facing forward, and then as soon as I heard sounds, I turned around and started facing backwards at that time to see what was happening. So my direction of movement until the incident started was forward, and then once I heard unexpected sounds coming from the back of the band, then I turned around.
Do you recall the statement that's in the report, though? She stated that she was walking backwards facing the students. Do you recall that?
I do not. I guess I recall. Yes, I must have. I don't
I don't
recall
know.
this exact
What?
moment. I've spoken
Okay,
to
so
lots of officers.
confusing. Okay, people's movements at that day are not static. She said her general purpose was to go forward for the person who's marching backwards to be the eyes. She's probably always scanning the band, especially when she heard the first one get run over. That probably made quite a sound. Plus, the spectators started yelling. So then she's turned around. It's not static, Darrell. It's not static. So don't confuse her. That doesn't make her a liar.
Thinking that the SUV was driving right at you?
It felt like it for a moment. Yes.
Why would you ask that question? That's a terrible question.
And you stated that you initially started to chase after the vehicle, was briefly, but then stopped
That was my instinct at the moment because I
You
don't
were
know if
running
that was my
over.
instinct at the moment.
Mr. Brooks, are you done with the
Yes,
statement?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, no problem. You can get down.
Would it be fair to say that the unexpectedness of the event may have clouded everything that you recall about the event?
I think there's certain aspects of the event that I have great clarity for because it was such a life-changing thing. There are certain moments that are very clear in my memory. And then there's other aspects that maybe other people noticed that maybe 11 months later that are less clear because some of the other more graphic details are so strong in my memory.
It would be fair to say though that, or would it be rather? I'm sorry about that. Would it be fair to say that you don't recall everything from that November 21st
It was
evening?
that would be accurate.
To your recollection, would you have left out any details in your report?
No.
Like the license place. Let me first say, I mean, I'm no brain surgeon, but I've had reason for critical care transports to understand certain functions and trauma to understand certain functions. Your eyes do not see everything. There are holes in your vision where there aren't rods and cones in your eyeballs to receive the lights and refractions and other things. And your brain gets the information, first of all, upside down, and then flips it and fills in the gaps. That also happens in your memory. People, and that's why their perceptions are slightly different. Their view is different. The point of view is different. My past experiences, your past experiences, have to do with what you perceive in the moment. And then memory, the way we file it, is different. Short, medium, and long-term memory. We fill in holes based on the visual perception, the audio, anything that we perceive, anything that we influence from our own past. All of that changes everything. And then memories fade. Certain things fade. Our brains block certain things. And you'll see some of the police testimony actually says that. We report things right away and then block them later because our brains have decided that is too much critical information for us to emotionally handle. So there's all sorts of things that go, and it's a complex thing. We are the most complex computers, our brains are. Except everybody's but Darrell's. Darrell's got smooth brain, no crevices, no fissures in there. Ugh.
Were you able to see any license plate number on the
Didn't she
vehicle?
already ask
That
that?
was not.
You asked the license place. I wrote it down. License place.
Do you recall about how far you initially had the reaction to chase after the vehicle, but then turn back to your students?
It was just a few steps.
Do you recall exactly where you were at
I was
in the parade?
in terms of the order of the parade.
In terms of what intersections you may have been at?
We were right. I was personally right outside of Martha Merrill's bookstore.
She remembers she said it originally. Oh, he's making me so angry.
From the video footage, there were clearly a lot of spectators or people that weren't actively involved in the parade.
Yes,
Did you at any time see any of the spectators struck?
I did not.
After the incident, did you see any news reports about the incident?
I did.
Did any news reports that you saw jog anything to your memory?
Not especially. Maybe just showed different things that happened that evening in different parts of Main Street where I wasn't, but
So-
nothing changed my recollections of the self-banned experience.
So it would be fair to say that what was reported on the news, you kind of pretty much already knew?
Correct.
No. Yeah, yes and no. Nice
Did,
semantics.
did you
Gymnastics.
recall the news reporting how many people may have been hurt?
Yes.
From what you recall and observed, do you think that those said news reports were accurate? Grounds.
Sustained. It's not relevant.
About how long did you stay at the parade after the incident?
I did not have my watch with me that evening, but we were there for quite a while because the students had scattered, and so it took us a while, as well as waiting to make sure all the students that were injured were taken by first responders. And they were overwhelmed, so it took a while for first responders to get to
So
everyone.
it would be fair to say that by the time you actually left, it was nightfall.
That is correct.
Do you recall the power going out?
That did not happen till we were back at the high school.
So you had already left
Correct.
the parade route by the time there was no power.
Correct.
Do you recall what time you left?
I don't recall.
She said no.
It would be
Ugh, he makes me so angry. I can't wait till the 50-minute rant so I can write down the topics and then count how many times he repeats himself. Like if he repeats himself enough, people are going to believe his BS.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Just a quick clarification, and then I'd like to show one video, Your Honor, if that's all right. There were a few mentions during cross-examination about your report in quotation marks.
Yes.
You didn't actually sit down and type up a police report after the parade, did you?
No, I did not.
Irrelevant.
Overruled. She may answer. Please state your answer again.
I did not.
If there is an objection, let me roll
I'm
first.
sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. You met with police officers after the fact and provided interviews, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And then
They
you know
wrote
whether
reports.
they wrote police reports summarizing those statements?
If they did, I did not see those.
Okay. I would like to play for you exhibit number 22 one more time. And I'd like to play it for the jury as well, Your Honor, if that's all right.
Objection, we saw this video numerous times at this point.
So,
Are you going to play the whole thing or parts of it?
The witness was asked about whether she heard a horn honking, and so I'm simply going to
She was
play.
not asked if she heard a horn honking. She was asked, did the sound of the parade.
I recall what was asked. I'm sorry, tell me again why you want the jury to see this and the question, because she was not asked specifically about a horn. She offered something.
In response to a question about what she heard. I simply want to play this video to see if the witness can hear the sound of a horn honking.
Objection. What's the relevancy at this point? She never was asked the question, Your Honor.
Oh. Giving us
I'll
something to...
sustain the objection.
Okay, I don't have anything else for this witness. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Oh, he got one. Okay, wait a minute. Darrell won. Zach, 10,557. Oh my God, I broke my pen. But okay, Darrell, you got one. You didn't ask that specific question, even though and he forgot all of his soft sit stuff. What happened to the soft sit stuff? Ugh. Spared us. Okay, let's see. If they're going to go to another witness, I'm probably going to pause it.
Your next witness, please.
Okay. So I'm about, if I can make it through both the direct and the cross-exam, and I'm doing good. I don't know about you, but I need a break. Darrell is dumb. All right. See you. Like, subscribe, and share if you wish.